just the other day, I was thinking of like, whenever something really bad happens to you, you have to really look at it and go, you see, right now, they're actually throwing me something. You know, regardless if you could say, well, you manifested it. Who cares if you did or not? It doesn't matter. Yeah, because you're always manifesting good things, bad things. They're gonna happen at some point. Whatever, and if you're aware, more mindful, and you focus your energy, yeah, you'll have more of the good stuff.
With me today is Jacob Nelson. Jacob, thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anytime I can spread love and light and, the deep secrets and the truths of reality, I'm all for it. I love it. Thank you.
Uh, Now, I have to confess to those watching that this is actually the second time we've done this interview, and I committed the mortal sin of any podcaster, which is to somehow delete the conversation that we had previously. So I feel like we know each other a little bit. In fact, I thought of you when I got this book the other day. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's Betty Bethard's. It's called The Dream Book: Symbols for Self
Oh,
Understanding. One of my other guests told me about it because she does dream interpretation. So I ended up buying that book. And ever since we spoke last time, which was a few months ago, I've been a little more diligent about recording my dreams, and
oh,
they've been
good.
getting even
Good.
weirder.
Good.
So,
Oh, yeah. That's great. It's
so
great to hear. I love hearing that.
yeah,
You know?
the one that comes to mind is I don't know. I usually don't have dreams with celebrities in it, but this one had
Huh.
Brad Pitt, but a very, very tall Brad Pitt, like he was 10 feet tall. And he was really
Uh-huh.
too busy to talk to me, even though I did want him to talk to me. He was like, he had a lot of people to talk to. Yeah, so that was one. I'm still trying
Yeah,
to figure that one out.
there's a few things I can kind of throw out there. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody, there's a lot of symbolism that is subjective to, to you, but there's also a lot of things that are, in a sense, objective to how things are just working in these different realms. So usually most dreams take place in a mental realm. This is a physical realm right here. And you can think of it as a sphere.
Mm.
And all these different spheres is like this condensation of energy, right? These lower bandwidths, these physical realms kind of group together and they make a sphere. And between the spheres, there's a void. And in that void is where most dreams take place in between the spheres in that void. And the energy discharge between the spheres and the void is what causes the different types of densities of those mental realms. So some dreams you'll feel like, oh, things are more stable, they don't change as much, and then in some other mental realms, you'll feel like things are just constantly shifting and morphing. And it depends on the different energy discharges between the spheres, those mental realms. And the different people you meet. So, for example, you said you met Brad Pitt. It's probably one of Brad Pitt's incarnations in a mental realm, and it's probably a parallel version of himself. And there's always a slight difference. Like recently, I met a few different variations of my incarnation, Jacob, in mental realms, and we actually met face to face. It was really interesting as a different as part of the second book. But he was a little taller than me. He was just a bigger build, but he looked very similar to me. Um, his name was Jacob. So these are just like so God. We are fractals of God. You want to so when we come in here, right? Our soul comes in. It wants to experience all possible variations, right? Of that experience of being, of being Jacob or being whoever. It wants to know what it's like to be that completely, and that means you in all possibilities. So everything you do or do not do is happened and it has happened, and you are in your physical body will also make up, all those infinite characteristics. Oh yeah.
We got a bit, I got segued then, but you've got such a deep knowledge of this topic, which is why I wanted to have you on the show. So, but why don't we just go back a little bit? Tell us a bit about what it was like for you growing up, just so we have some sort of context there, and then how you got interested in dreams so much.
Yeah. Ever since I was a little kid, I always knew that there was something more than this, right? There's many people like that. And for me, one of the things I had, everybody has their own little memories. And even to this day, I do it. And now I know what it is. But in the beginning, I used to have a little paper crane that would be hanging from by my ceiling on a fan or somewhere up the ceiling. And I would constantly be trying to move it, right? As if like I know I'm able to actually move this if I concentrate somehow. But it's like, you know, it's like I could never quite get it, but I always had the feeling like you should have these abilities. It's like, I know that's not something that's supernatural. I know it's part of us, and I feel it's like a memory. Like I know, why am I not allowed to use my abilities? Like why are they blocked? That kind of feeling. I didn't really know how to understand it until I got older, right? And I wrote a book and everything, and I realized, well, yeah, those are our natural abilities. That's what we naturally have. When we come here, we lose all those abilities. We don't have telekinesis and all of that. And so I was already from an early age kind of tapped into knowing there's something beyond what I see here. What I see here is, I wouldn't call it an illusion, but like it's not complete. There's something missing. And I knew also science wasn't able to provide it either. That, that the subjective, the inner world was just as rich or even more rich than what you see, the objective world. And so that got challenged as I grew up even more because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness until I was 13. Um, and then I stopped. I had the option to stay a witness or not. I chose not because I just felt like it. The Bible and the church, the congregation that I was going to, and in general, the people around me weren't able to provide the answers that I was seeking, right? And the more visions I had, the more intense they became, and the more rich and I guess not just richer, but longer in length and more in depth in terms of the conversation and information that I was working with. It wasn't just I was just watching something. I was having full length dialogues, right? My book is called Dialogues and Dreams, right? So these things are like some of them are pages and pages long and nothing is missed. It's like high definition, as if I'm talking to you right now. It's like a conversation I had, yesterday or an hour ago. Um, and so I can recall it all. And a lot of those visions um had feelings or realizations that these are other me's because in the beginning you don't know. Like, for example, and usually in dreams, you don't even realize that you could be actually a different incarnational shell. If you look in the mirror, you might go, "Oh, wait a minute. I thought I was, Jacob, or I thought I was Rod, but actually, no, I'm a girl, or I'm like 15 years old, and like this is, Then you go, wait a minute. Okay, it's a different shell. You see, and then you go, "Oh, that's right." So consciousness is not changing at all. It's still a consciousness. It's still a feeling that I am I. I am that I am. Only the shell has changed, And so, the Bible wasn't able to provide me any answers with, reincarnation or this deep, knowledge of these different realms. That's a little bit about my, childhood.
Alrighty. A question about Jehovah's Witnesses, because I'm sure other people want to know this. Can you just be a bit more specific about when you're 13? So because I know nothing about Jehovah's Witness, do you actually get an option to like continue? Is that like part of the practice? So you can stay or you can go? Is that kind of how it works?
No, my father left at that time,
Right.
and
Okay.
and so when he left, it was sort of like because he was an elder in the congregation, right? So he had seniority and right, sort of in a sense like a preacher, a teacher, a head person. And when he left, my mom said, "Well, it's at this point, it's up to you." She
Mm.
said that she's still going to be doing practicing, but it's up to me now to make my own decision if I want to keep practicing. I said, "Nah." I mean, I didn't see any answers, and if I even if I asked something, like, about reincarnation, it was like, it's very taboo. It's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. What have you been
Wow.
reading? What are you
Yeah.
looking at? No, you shouldn't be doing into that." Like, pretty soon now you're doing divination. "Oh, no, evil spirits are gonna come in the house," and, so they'll try to make you believe something else or correct you or, they'll think something is wrong with you, So I just decided, you know what? I'll just go on my own journey of my own spiritual awakening and looking within myself, my own inner engineering quest. So I did that for many years.
And as far as like looking for those a bit answers to reincarnation, like I haven't read all the religious texts. I've touched on some. Was there anything that you read that then started to answer those questions for you?
No, and that's the beauty of the book, is that I told myself that I need to keep this experience as pure as possible because I thought, you know what, since I don't know what I'm working with, I'm just getting all these visions. I don't know what it is. I can't say yes or no to anything. And I didn't at the time when it first was ramping up, I didn't know what to make of it, so I couldn't say it was something that science could prove or disprove or it's subjective, objective, like what elements of each. So I thought, well, okay, so I'm gonna limit the outside research as much as possible, right? So I chose not to delve too deeply into like things like quantum mechanics. even dreams themselves or consciousness or religion, divination, right? Any subjects seemingly intertwined with my journey. So I want to make sure that whatever I was receiving was from myself, from my inner being. Because otherwise you don't know, well, maybe because I read that, or maybe because I saw something or heard something. That's why now it's in my inside of my brain and it's cycling things around, and then science will say, "Oh, you see, because you read that, now it's gonna be digesting that, and that's what you're receiving." And you go, "Well, now I don't know," right? It's like because you kind of polluted the water, so you're like, "I don't really know." But so I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna read anything." So a complete blank slate, just only from to myself, and I did that for 20 years, and only until the book was finishing. When it like, towards the end of the book, when it was finishing, I go, "Okay, I'm gonna open myself up to look outside and see if others have said something similar." It was great because then I could go, "Oh, yeah, this connects, this makes sense, this I have not experienced, I can't say yes or no, but it definitely does not match with my own experiences." So I was able to kind of pull apart, different ideas and topics and readings online and different podcasts to see, okay, now I can sort of see where I fit in with what's been out there and better able to kind of filter what I receive now because it's like it's an unpolluted tank of water that I've been harvesting for so long that I know what's coming in is something I can compare now truly 100% one to one.
So I just want to clarify what your experience was with your dreams, because I think we all know what a dream is usually like. It's often kind of murky. It's around all over the place. Not can't always remember. So you began to have experiences that were more than a dream, or they were more consistent. There must have been some sort of quality to them that made you sort of start thinking, well, this is something other than a dream. It almost sounds like more of a kind of a lucid thing. But could you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, many people have had lucid dreams, right? Yeah, it's when you're aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. Um, and in general, this is a dream too. We are talking inside of a dream. This is all just, the activity of consciousness. It's not consciousness, right?
Mm.
It's the projection. You are the projector, right? We're just talking inside the projection and you know, and not realizing that there's projections within projections within projections, right? And there's just different levels and variations or densities of this activity, you know? And so for me, I was naturally able to detach because what we call dreams when you go to sleep, you're basically detaching from the body, right? Your energy, that soul fractal in that shell is detaching. And the reason why you don't remember is because usually your vibration isn't high enough for you to be aware of itself detaching. And like you said, like recently, maybe you had a lot more vivid or dreams you remember because we're always dreaming. You just don't always remember them. But the higher vibration you are, the more you can recognize when you detach naturally. And then, so it's kind of like you're always awake, you're never asleep. And so I was always detached. I was always detaching and aware of myself detaching, So for me, it was like dreams were just, it's like I'm dreaming now, then I go to sleep and it's like there was no end to the day. It was just, I'm constantly in this dream. And to where I was always like, what's the difference between dreams in real life? Because I feel like I never go to sleep, actually. I feel like I'm always awake. Like, I've like so y like, people go, "Yeah, you just pass out and you wake up, like, so nothing happens, like, you black out." I'm like, I very rarely I think, here and there that can happen to me, but it's like 90+% of the time, it's like I lay down and then now I'm just in a different realm, then, I wake up, but I just switch realms. I don't even wake up, it's like I switch realms. So I haven't slept in, I don't know, 30 years. Um, but, it's not something that concerns me because, I still function just fine. Because basically, if you engage a lot with what you're observing in these dreams, yeah, that's actually draining because wherever your attention goes, energy flows. Wherever your intention goes, energy grows. So if you're really have a lot of intention, you're doing a lot of stuff in your dreams, that's really taxing on you, and you will feel drained because you're using energy, or you're attending something, and then you're doing this, and you're using your energy, right? But if you're just simply being and just kind of observing, you can still be in a different realm and not using any energy, just like how you can sit in your chair, not do anything, and not use any energy. So, um, it's about how you play with it. So, um, yeah, so I've always been in a dream, and they're very, very. I mean, yeah, it's like the best lucid dream you ever had times 1,000 because it's not just you walking out and observing nature and going on adventures. You're having such in-depth dialogues with what I used to call them dream characters, but they're not dream characters, right? They're just um, other souls, incarnated into different shells. You talk to them, and some shells are just like people in real that you meet in real life. Well, real life, more like in the physical realms. Some shells are different than others, right? Some every shell has its own filtering of its information through its higher self. So everybody has their own filter on what they're so you can ask a dream character questions. Really, is right uh, another person, a soul, ask them a question, and you'll get a different answer depending on what type of shell, type of person they are. I talked to professors, I've talked to people at the supermarket, right? I've also talked to like so-called like divine beings or people, or beings that, in a sense had that aura around them and they were, uh, at a higher vibration than I was. I could definitely tell because, just the way they acted when they interacted with me and things they could tell me and take me and things they could do. So yeah, you can meet a wide range of different beings in a sense dreams because you're just in a range of different realms. I'm not sure if I answered that question necessarily perfectly there, but um,
Well, I've got a follow-up. Well, you're clearly having an experience that is different, well, at least different to what I have when I dream. And I've had a couple of
right,
lucid dreams, so I understand what they are. I've had one out of body experience, so I understand what that is. But what's occurring with you is far more regular and some would say
yeah.
far more profound. So, at some point, did you realize that what you were experiencing actually useful in your, let's call this real life, but even though I know I totally agree with what you're saying is that it's just another sort of slice of what is possible for life. When did you realize that, or what occurred that you go, oh, this is actually helpful, or this is useful, or I've got some questions and I'm going to ask those next time I go to sleep?
In the beginning, I didn't even know what I was just it was a sandbox. I didn't know what I was working with. I
Mm.
was just simply just so curious, like, this is so interesting and nobody else seems to be having this, but I'm just gonna do my own little have a little fun at night. I'm just gonna play with this thing, whatever it is. It seems like nobody's talking about it, so I might as well just kind of have some fun and kind of do my own little thing. And I was just having fun. That was all I was doing. I wasn't even had no intention of doing anything. All I knew was it was really important. At least it felt really important to me. It felt really sacred, right? When I would when I would enter these other realms, I knew, oh wow, this is like a sacred place. In the beginning, I thought, oh, yeah, maybe it's a sacred place. Maybe it's like I'm like in my own mind itself, and I'm observing the algorithm of my mind itself working. I thought in the beginning, you know. But as the book progresses, like, as my journey progressed, it was like as I moved from this linear thinking to a lateral thinking, right? To where it was like from science or the left brain all the way to the right brain, and then after the book ended, I went right back to the middle and that balancing point, realizing, oh, it's right in the middle because that's where they all come together. Because reality is not left or right; it's right and left. It's all of it, all at once, all infinity. So I was slowly, as I opened up to understanding what was happening with these different experiences and being more open to saying, you know what, maybe I should have a ultra scientific, rational view of this. Because in the beginning, for the first third of the book, I'm like, "Oh, it could be this, science might say this," or it's, a very, reductionistic, materialistic point of view on it,
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I'm gonna talk to the dream character, and they're just a dream character. Hey, I'll even ask them, like, 'Are you a dream character? What are dream characters? What are you?' And try to, like, write it down and talk to try to break it apart as if I could break it apart. And the more I did that, the more I realized I'm just grasping at straws here. Nothing's really happening. Like, I'm getting answers, but they don't seem to really work when I play them back. Because, like, they'll give me answers and I'll ask somebody else that's the same answer I got. Is this true? And it's like, and then I realized, wait a minute, I think I have to try a different approach. And I thought, why don't I try a sort of Zen approach, right? Where it's like, I want to try to be in a state of now and in flow and accept things for how they are right now. No questioning it, right? And just be here at the moment and play with it and experience it and not try to dissect it. And the more I did that, the more I was getting information, not in terms of like a rational answer. It was like a feeling. And I started comparing different things. I go, okay, wow, it sort of feels like, well, okay, it's like feeling carries much more or much richer information than, a formula or something that is sort of in a sense static, right? Because a feeling is sort of like this infinite uh, range of information because it's pure experience. Like I am that I am. It's just that feeling. And so I was able to kind of balance the two. So in the beginning, it's more scientific, ask more of those questions. And then it morphed into, okay, let me just experience it and kind of understand from almost like an abstract point of view, like a subjective point of view. And then at the end, I kind of like merged them both together and realized, oh, that's how they fit in. But I had no idea where I was going. It wasn't until so the whole book, you start realizing it like the journey is unfolding all on its own. It's like you see it, the whole journey of self-awakening happening, like, oh yeah, you're in a physical realm, and of course you assume it's, you know, things that are objective, because that's what you see. I am not this, I am not this cup, I am not that. And then slowly you go, wait a minute, maybe it's not that, maybe it's the opposite of that. And then you go over there and you go, well, it can't just be that either, because that I feel like that's missing something too. And you go, oh yeah, it's both. And then you learn how to merge it together. So at each stage of the journey, I was asking different questions, but I didn't know what I would ask until, something clicked as I got more information.
So it sounds like you've done a lot of investigating, a lot of learning. Has there been any fundamental beliefs that you've, held for a long time that have changed as a result of your experiences and what you've learned?
Like I said, I never really looked outside to other beliefs that much. So I'm not even sure what others believed, because I wasn't really investigating others' beliefs or anything out there. So I never really held any because I wasn't surrounding myself with people or books or information that was saying, "Yeah, you should look into the Buddhism or look into this or that." I mean, I've heard of these things, but I never really looked into them. I might have heard of the term reincarnation, didn't really know what that was or where it comes from, what it even meant. But so I never really had too many beliefs to begin with, so I wasn't really giving up that many. The only things that were kind of instilled in me from an early age was things from the Bible and from being a witness. But those I never really I always like I said, I always felt like there was something missing with that. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna already kind of discard that. I'm just gonna go within myself. So I didn't have to take off too many clothes. As they say, you're already a divine being. Just sort of take off those negative beliefs. Take off the fear and you'll realize you are a fractal of love. Like if this is fear, take it off them. As more things I take off, I go, oh yeah, I am divine. I just had too many layers on. Right, the shell. So I didn't have too many articles of clothing on to begin with. I felt like I just had maybe some boxers, right? I was pretty much naked already. Just had to take that off. Like, oh yeah, oh I get it now. Okay, that's easy. But many people, if you've gone through life with, learning about a lot of things, I equate it to like there's you're in a room and there's a door on either side, and you know you start from one door, and if the goal was to go from one door to the other, imagine every time you took a step or you thought of something, a box would appear in front of you. Like, "Oh, I have this thought," and a box would appear. If you kept doing that, the room would be so packed, it's so hard to even find where the door is anymore, it's even hard to get around it, right? Those are the thoughts, those are the things, the articles of clothing that you're putting on yourself, all those ideas that you have to now unpack to get around it. But in the beginning, I decided, well, be careful about that, be careful about that. So I wasn't the only thoughts I had were whatever's in my head already. I wasn't trying to introduce more. So I didn't have too many boxes. It wasn't like I was smarter or, better than anybody else. I was just careful not to allow myself to create too many boxes. I know if I do that, I probably can't get to the other door as fast. But if I have relatively few boxes, like, oh yeah, I can just kind of hop over here, maybe open that one up, and I can get over there. And so that's how I played with it.
And you've got this kind of fearless quality about you, which is, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm just wondering whether that quality is something that is because of this kind of other access to other information that you have. Could you talk a little bit more about that? I know you mentioned that you've recently moved, but I'm just thinking, when people often have to make difficult decisions, or maybe they feel like they're in the wrong
Yeah.
place, or they're not sure what they should do next. And I'm just sort of interested in what your advice would be in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, most people, you know, like I was mentioning with the boxes, right? Remember I said, like, you think of something and then that box will appear, right? If when you live from the heart, those boxes don't not many boxes appear, you know? It's like a thought, or the brain, it'll create a box, but the heart was what can either prevent a box from appearing there or unpack it very easily and tell you that's not the right box. Just move it aside. You don't need it. It's just a thought. It's not how you truly feel. It's not from your heart. It's not your true feeling, your true purpose. And so I recognized from the very beginning that, not paying attention to your thoughts and taking them as if they have some sort of like validity, like automatic validity, like it's somehow always right. Just because it came in, it's from you, so it must be right. I feel this and I think that, so it must be right. And it's like, and most people confuse the feeling and the thinking, and they're not sure where it's coming from, and they just think, oh, it's all just the brain, and so I just have to, if I think that, then it's probably true, and they get these trapped in these cycles, and the fearlessness is basically, it's not coming from something, it's not allowing something to even start. It's like I'm not allowing myself to be a part of bozo land. 'Cause it's like I recognize, oh, yeah, these things that are happening, it's just an activity. It's like it's 'cause I realized, like, when I would just be, when I'm still not doing anything, oh, yeah, things come in my head, and I go, "Oh." Some things came in my head. I don't know, I didn't ask for it, it just came in my head. And since I had a realization that, like, "Hey, I didn't ask you to come in my room. You just barged right into my room. So why do I have to believe you? You barged in my room and started screaming at me saying, 'Oh, you're worthless.' Like, who are you? Get out of my room." So I just sort of realized, like, that the activity that was already happening, and not identifying with the activity as being me, but it's realizing the activity's happening and it keeps happening, but I don't have to pay any attention. And the less attention I give it, it starts to not come in my room anymore. It kind of just goes away. And then I started just like kind of, like listening to my thoughts as if like, just like having the radio on in the room. It's just noise, it's just the humming of something. It's just things that are happening. But if I focus and have attention towards it, then now I'm creating something. I'm like saying, okay, do you want to go to Bozo Land and have thoughts about this humming thing? Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's now you're going in Bozo Land. And now you're just being taken away by the vortex of reality. It's just now you're creating something, right? Your thoughts, you're creating something. So I said, nah, I'll create what I want to create, I mean, because you're always creating all the time, but I will intentionally focus more energy to create something when I really need to. And when you do that, it's not bozo land, because it's almost like you cleaned up bozo, and it's like bozo land's now working for you. You're not working for bozo land. You're not working for the clowns work for you. You don't work for clowns anymore. So you know how to use your thoughts. The thoughts aren't using you. And that was really important to me to realize, oh, because those clowns, they love making you scared. They love, putting fear into you. It's because that's just what they're programmed to do because of all the information that's coming in unconsciously in your system, right? You meet lots of different people. They have lots of different experiences and conversations. You have lots of different, oh, I should have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Ah, I know. Why'd I do that? Or, I could have done better. All those thoughts, and those are the clowns, and the clowns are sometimes they'll say, "Oh, yeah, you're so good, you're the best." Yeah, but that's also a clown. People just don't wanna think of it as a clown because it feels good. Because when you're in the base state of reality, you're just like, "I am all of it. I am the good clown, the bad clown, I'm all those clowns," because those are just different parts of the polarity of these realms. But really, it's just, yeah, it's just activity. This activity can say these things that might make you feel that way or this way, but it's like because it's there up, like outside of these shells, when you're in your base higher self soul, you're in pure unity, right? And unity means you're not separate, you're not good and bad. There's no polarity there, right? You're unified. That's the non-duality. This is the duality of, right. So don't forget that even when you have like good thoughts, yeah, that's a clown. It's just a clown you really like. You like that clown because that clown makes you feel good. And yes, and it does help you create more good clown things like more money or happiness and love and all those types, like, well, romantic love, those types of things. I'm not talking soul, I'm talking romantic love, things like that. Yeah, but that's also an experience, right? And it's also part of a different side of polarity. So it's just an experience, all right? Because anytime you have an experience of something, that means you are not unity. Because when you're unified, you're everything all at once. You are everything. You are infinity. And for infinity, if experience means I'm looking at a pinhole of infinity, and that's an experience. I'm having an experience of some sort of perspective of something, a little pinhole, and that's an experience. Like, so I guess experiencing infinity doesn't really make any sense because it's not a particular experience. It's just like you go, so what is it? I am that I am. It's just it is. It is. And it's like, and it is goes, I guess you could call that an experience, but like I need to unpack this. I want to unpack my own box. And it starts to pull out things and the good clowns, bad clowns, all these things start coming out. But yeah, sorry if I went on a tangent there, but yeah, I can keep going. You gotta stop me.
So the last guest I had was he had it. Everyone's got their own opinions and interpretations of life here on planet Earth, and his thoughts were that the reason why we come here is so that we can get back to God consciousness, universe source, whatever you like to call it. That's really our purpose, and I think that's got some merit. And then listening to you talk there, it was like you're kind of always seeking this clarity, but the real clarity is when there's no seeking at all. You're just kind of there. So what's your perspective on why we're having this life experience right now?
Right. How to unpack this in the right way. I'll say it this way. These realms are schools. They are schools, but you don't have to sign up to it. Just like you don't have to go to college, in a sense. You don't have to go to a higher education. But even more so, it's like you don't even have to go to primary school. You don't even have to do anything. In a sense, you don't have to have an experience, right? Well, reality itself, which I was honored to get, I drew it in the book. Um, you know, you call it the void, right? The void is the mother. See, reality is an eternal pregnant mother, eternally pregnant with itself. And this void, people call it the ocean of being, the quantum ocean. It's pitch black. It is pretty much black. It's just infinite. And it's an ocean of consciousness. And that ocean is simultaneously um, all points of view and different points of views at the same time because it's pregnant. So this mother who is asleep has a baby of realms creation that is awake. See, the polarities. So there's always been polarity. It's baked in, but one is asleep and one is awake, and they've always been combined. So that's why it's dual, non-dual, depending on how you're looking at it, right? From the mother's point of view or the baby's point of view. And when you this pure fractal of, or when consciousness, when the ocean itself of consciousness, when a piece of it, right, like a photon of light, when it has an intention of some sort, when it's looking at its baby, because like I was there and I was in the void and I was looking at creation itself, right, two twin vortexes spiraling in and in the center creating this nth dimensional toroidal sphere, nth dimensional, like who knows how many dimensions there are in this thing, and light couldn't really escape from it, right? But light could be shown through, and it could almost like you could see the glow like you're like a flashlight behind your hand. And so I was already looking at it thinking, oh yeah, and now see like these images flash on this membrane, almost like a liquid, like a gel-like membrane, black gel-like membrane, and lights would a flash would appear, and then an image of some sort would appear of like an experience of something. And it was flashing all over this thing, and that's when I realized, oh yeah, so it looks like while looking at this thing from the void as from the perspective of the mother of the infinite, I was looking, but I didn't have any intention, right? I wasn't like, "Oh, what's that? Like, I should investigate that." I was just observing, in a sense, almost like in a dream where you watch something, but you're not really any intention to interact with it. You're just sort of, "I'm there and things happened." That feeling, right? You're aware of things happening, but you're not, right? Because you're aware of the activity, but you're not engaging with the activity, right? With the bozo land, which is bozo land. It's like another word for like imagination, right? It's like the mother's imagination. The imagination of the mother is the boy. The boy off in the backyard playing with foam swords thinks he's actually in danger, but the mother's like he's playing with foam swords by himself. It's fine. And but the great thing is when this when the piece of the ocean of the mother decides to have an intention or idea, when it gets curious enough and wants to do a particular thing, it gets sucked into the vortex, into the nth dimensional toroidal sphere, gets sucked in there, and then now you're in creation. And usually, you get sucked into some sort of higher vibrational realm first because they have to acclimate you to this bozo land, basically experiences. And you don't have to do anything. You can go, "Oh, I'm here." Like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." And you can go back if you want or stay here and you meet other beings, right? Other fractals that were previously curious. They've been doing this game for a long time, playing in the backyard a long time, and they can introduce you to different games and say, "Do you wanna go to this world, that world? How about this? What are you interested in? Tell me what your interests are. Like, why did you even when you first came down here, what was so interesting here? What did you see?" And you might meet somebody and say, "Oh, yeah, I saw the same thing. Maybe you might like this world?" And, yeah, so you don't have to sign up to these experiences, we should call them schools for learning, but, so you don't have to. You really don't have to. There's no you could say there's incentive and there's also no incentive. Okay, there's the incentives will come from the beings inside the sphere of creation, the baby boy. The baby boy has his own clan, lots of clans, lots of different beings, and they have groups and they have different things and they have their own incentives and their own reasons to kind of get together to do certain things. Yeah, but you don't have to because it's infinite. This is eternal. There's nothing that could go nothing there's nothing more than the infinite, right? There's nothing better than the eternal. And it's like and then that's the mother's point of view. So it's like, you don't have to do anything. Why? 'Cause it's already eternal. It's already been done. It's like the future is the past is the future. It's like it's already been done. All possibilities have already been done. We're just kinda going through it. So it's like there's nothing really to do. Um, but we like the idea of keeping ourselves engaged, right? Because 'Cause we're eternal, why not have fun? And if we're gonna actually play a game that actually makes sense, why don't we just start playing the games where it's like, "Okay, I forget that." And then now, well, it feels like I'm gaining stuff because I forgot it all. It's like, "No, we just removed your abilities, and now it feels that way." We can give them back to you, but you don't know that. Um, but there is within the point of but that's the most point of view, but from the point of view as, from within the realms, right? Bozoland realms, you it's called going to school, right? Because they in a sense, they want you to bring back wisdom to mother. And it's like the idea of it is like there's this mom looking outside the window at her baby boy in the backyard playing with foam swords by himself, having off on these adventures. And the farther he is away from the window, the farther he is off into the outer limits of reality, like on Earth, right? It's so far. He's in the woods way back there. Oh my God, he's like like really far out of the outer rings. And the closer he is, he's closer to mother, and he's in a high vibrational place. He's close to other, you know, his uncles in the backyard or whatever, But but the uncles and that are close to the window or like, these really evil people that are really far out in the woods, they all have their own perspective on it too, right? And but the uncles will say, "Yeah, go to that, you should really try to go out to as far as you can get and learn stuff and bring it back to us and tell and go inside and tell your mother all the things that you learned. That's called wisdom, and you're gonna bring it back because you can't bring back anything from those experiences besides your knowledge and wisdom." And you go, "Well, uncle, what knowledge are we bringing back?" "Knowledge about what you are. What am I?" "Well, you'll find out. We'll find it out when you bring it back." And then he comes back boy comes back and says, "I brought it back, so what am I learning?" He goes, "Okay, unpack it with me," and they'll go through your life review, unpack it with you, and you go, "Oh, yeah, I'm realizing that I'm love, and I'm realizing that love can only understand what it is if it becomes what it's not. Oh, if in order for infinity to understand what it is, it has to become the finite. Oh, okay, right." It's like, oh, so it's like, okay, so the finite can only come from infinity, but the infinity cannot come from finite, so we're kind of the wisdom is learning slow eternally learning what we are at different gradations, right? It's like, we've always known your love, but it's like, how detailed, how much of do you wanna get into the minutia of understanding that idea that you're love? 'Cause because love is like this never-ending eternal depth that you can keep going to the deeper depths of understanding that what it is. And that's thrilling, it's exciting, to get a little more information. I know a little bit more about how the system works. I know more about what we really are. And it's a never-ending quest, but you don't have to do it, right? I mean, it's just fun, but you don't have to.
I think I think I got it's the fun part. The fact that it's fun makes it worthwhile. And I was thinking as you were talking, you can imagine that I don't know how long you've been having these conversations with people for, but 10 years ago, you definitely people might have recommended that you get locked up and have some getting medication applied. do you find that that's become easier, like in recent times to talk to people about this, or what's your
Um,
experience there?
hmm, easier is true. I'll answer it. Yeah, easier, but it's still there. In the book, towards the end, part of the reason why marriage don't work out, when you have somebody that's going through an awakening and at especially when it ramps up to, like, extreme paces, like, all of a sudden it's like, wow, everything just shifted. Because like, towards the end of the book, it was like, okay, because I was getting I don't think I can go into it, but, like, I was being directly contacted. Things were being confirmed this way and in the external world, like, information to where you could go look it up, or it is like, okay, yeah, this is like even science would say, "This is nuts." Like, how could you possibly know that? You know? So I was getting a lot of things that were just not something I felt, but it was like, now it's not just subjective, it's objective, you could look it up. So when I'm going through these feelings and I'm changing at a certain rate, everybody else around is like, "What's going on with you? Are you okay? Are you losing your mind?" Because it's in the book. My wife said, "You have to get on medication," because I was getting these huge migraines, constant migraines. I didn't even know what they were. It wasn't even until, like, I was finishing the book, right when I was finishing the book, I started looking outside, and "Oh, they call this ascension headaches. What's ascension?" And right? And so I looked into it, I was like,
Mm,
"Oh, yeah, actually," I started breaking that down, I was like, "Yeah, oh, I get what that is." Yeah, basically, when your vibration's increasing, you're taking off clothes, and sometimes these clothes, just like a mantis or a cicada or when something an insect takes off its shell, it's not very easy. They could die doing that, right? It takes a lot of energy to take off your old shell and become the new thing, to have your wings now, right? Not everybody makes it through their transformation process. They can kill themselves, literally.
mm.
So um, when you're increasing your vibration, you will have a lot more intense dreams. You'll recall more because you're more aware while you're being detached because your vibration is increasing. And because your base vibration is higher or closer to the vibration when you are detached when you're asleep. So usually you're like this, and this is when you detach, you're up here. But your base, if your base is closer, the information is closer, so you can keep it. Because when you go up and you try to bring it back, as you go through the vibrations, you slowly lose all the information. But if you're already close enough, it is sort of, "Oh, yeah, I can just sort of keep it, almost retain more of the information," because it's like the gap between, one area of detachment and, being detached is kind of is shrinking. So, um yeah, I people think some people think I'm crazy now. I even close friends, they go, "You know what? Maybe it is schizophrenia. I don't know, but I'll tell you, you're definitely the freest thinker I've ever met." And I think that's really cool. I like that about you, but yeah, keep an eye on it, man. Like you never know, it could happen. I'm like, but I know myself that there's just no way. I'm way too on top of everything. Like, if somebody was to look at my track record, they'd say, "Well, he's done a lot of stuff." It's not like he was a bum walking around. He went to grad school. He did a lot of things in so-called, the real physical world, in which really means nothing, getting a degree. It's fun, just like it's fun to go into these realms, and just going to school is optional. It's fun. Don't have to. But so I know I'm not crazy. Because I've in the beginning, actually, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, so I didn't think I was crazy or not, but I was like, "Hmm, this is definitely different." I was definitely the oddball, always the oddball, but as everything came together, I go, "Oh, I see the whole puzzle now. I'm definitely not crazy. I think you are the ones who are just not awake." And then I go, "Oh, yeah, then but why was I so different? Oh, yeah, I get it now. I was here during this big shift so that I could be like a big brother and wake everybody else up and say, 'Hey, guys, it's time to get up.' Remember that time we talked about? Yeah, it's now. You gotta get up, and class is over, guys. Let's get out of here. It's time to graduate. We're done with this. We don't have to do it anymore. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
it's very
I
lonely, right? When you're waking up by yourself and everybody else is asleep and you're the only one watching the TV or cartoons or something by yourself and eating cereal by yourself, like, man, everything is just asleep and it's only me. It's kind of lonely, but I like the free time for a little bit. Then you're like, huh. And then you realize, okay, I need to start waking everybody up. They need to get up. Like, I don't like this. So that's what I feel like. I feel like nobody's listening. So I love these podcasts because I get to say, hey guys, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll wake up. Everybody else everybody's waking up. You'll hear all the same stuff from everybody. I'm not the only one. This is it's like Like, yeah, I possibly somewhat rare now, but I guarantee you in 10 years, I'm just like every other ordinary person who has the same story, same information, because we all have the same information. It's just, our interpretation will be a little bit different, right? Because our shells are different. Like I said, we filter it differently because so that means we have different symbols coming in, like it's in dreams. You have different symbology, but if you go back, it all goes back to the same thing. Oh yeah, we're just pieces of God. We're all just God having fun, kind of learning about stuff. You don't have to. Um, yeah, sorry, I can go off, but yeah, yeah, I'm just really excited that I get to share this, and there's nothing to worry about. I mean, and it's funny because when you know, just the other day I was thinking of like, whenever something really bad happens to you, you have to really look at it and go, you see, right now they're actually throwing me something. You know, regardless if you could say, well, you manifested it. Who cares if you did or not? It doesn't matter. Yeah, because you're always manifesting good things, bad things. They're gonna happen at some point. Whatever, and if you're aware, more mindful, and you focus your energy, yeah, you'll have more of the good stuff. Sure, but regardless, just know that, oh yeah, there's just different things happening, and it really is your decision to know how to play with it, and just be careful because once you take the hand of the clown, he's gonna take you some places you may not like. And so you have to always be aware when that crazy clown comes in your room and starts doing stuff or something bad happens. Oh, my car is a wreck. I almost killed somebody. I'm getting sued. You have to just laugh. You really do. Just be like, "Oh, see, look it. They want me to almost play the game like, oh, this game is so serious. Oh, and then this is gonna happen. You might go to prison. Oh my god. Oh no." And then when it's all over and you look back at that demo, there's this video, you're like, could you keep I was actually scared. This idea of being scared, something was gonna happen. And it's like, yeah, you're eternal. I think it's gonna happen to you. When you can really detach from these things that happen to you, you'll start realizing that they just fall apart. It's just like the cardboard falls down, like the props fall away, and it's like the props can't stick to you. It's like you just blow on it, it just falls over. And so, like, I always do that. I talk anything scary happens, like, oh, you're getting interrogated, you have to treat it, whatever it is, as if like, this is nothing. Nothing is gonna happen. And then nothing will happen because that's what you're manifesting. Nothing is happening. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's sticking. All of a sudden, they're like, "Yeah, we just can't figure out anything to get this guy. I don't know why." Like, yeah, because that's what I'm telling you. There's nothing to worry about. Nothing here. And so, what you believe, what you think, yeah, you are generating that, right? When you're in bozo land.
All right, tell us about your book, Jacob. And if people want to get in touch with you and ask you questions, and if you've got anything else going on
Yeah.
that we should tell people about in the show notes, but now's your chance.
Yeah. I'll tell you. Yeah, things are really moving forward. I'm doing a life reset, and reset in the best way possible. I'm doing what I love. This here, right now, in this moment, is just fantastic. This is a thrilling experience. I absolutely love it, and all of my experiences, past 20 years of experiences, in this beautiful book right here. It's quite thick, a little tome. It's called Dialogues and Dreams and the Spectrum of Consciousness. Dreams, as I talked about, lots of dialogues. It's my spiritual awakening over 20 years. If you're somebody that's materialistic or kind of on the fence with understanding this stuff, or like, what could it be? Um, or even if you are well deep into the spiritual community, you'll get something out of it because there's something in there for everybody. I have mathematical formulas for the science people. I have talk about fractals and like and dimensions, and I talk about things in scientific terms. Talk about stuff from a spiritual perspective, and I mix it all together and I give you actual drawings of reality, which you're not going to find anywhere. I have services and I have all the information on my website, ultradeep.blue. Again, that's ultradeep.blue. You can also find me on Instagram at ultradeep.blue and YouTube at ultradeepblue, no dot on that one. You can get my book. Go to my site and get my book. My services are there. I can help you find your life purpose, and I offer um, services where basically, if you don't want to read the book, if you don't want to read this book, 'cause not everybody likes to read nowadays, right? It's a lot of words in here. If you don't want to do that thing, I can in 40 minutes, I will tell you every key point, all the cliff notes of the book. And if you want to pay for that, I just tell you 40 minutes and have it all kind of chunked up for you in a presentation. And you can get it all there. So you could spend a few hours having fun reading it, or I can just, pass the test for you. It's up to you. It's right, your decision. You decide. But yeah, I guess final words. Right, surrender to your to reality because You can't fight the ocean. You just can't. You've been in the ocean, you know, you can't fight those waves. So just surrender to what's happening, right? Doesn't mean you have to, you know, latch on to something like those bozos or these certain waves. Doesn't mean you have to go to this wave or that wave, but allow yourself to be soaked and bathed into what's happening. Doesn't mean you have to attach to it, but but allow yourself to be in the activity, not of the activity, right? Be in the world, not of the world, right? So and as you do that, be your authentic self, you know, because any resistance you have, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a problem. It's going to stay, right? Whatever you resist persists, right? So if you're not surrendering, then you're going to be at that state forever. And you're going to get a lot of things hitting you and knocking you out. So just surrender to it, you know, surrender to the ocean. The waves will take you to the shore and you'll find yourself waiting for you there, your authentic self. So just be who you are. Don't worry. Don't even think. Look, I'm not even thinking right now. Who cares? I'll make a mistake, whatever, right? I mean, just let things unfold magic, you know, naturally. It'll be like magic, right? You'll find these moments of beauty and splendor and truth and what everything really is, right? Remove your negative thoughts, these articles of clothing. You'll see who you truly are, right? A divine being, a soul, right? Be a champion of love, compassion, forgiveness, faith, trust. These are great virtues. Yeah, you could claim there's others, it's fine. And, I'm not saying these are the only 5, but I'm saying these are pretty good 5. I like them. And spread love and inspire others to awaken their own divinity. Do not force your beliefs on others, right? Do not force anything, but be who you are, and that's what your inspiration is, be who you are. And the more you find out who you truly are, the soul, the more you inspire others because your vibration increases, and that will also inspire others, and that'll help others pay attention to certain things and look inside of themselves, right? The whole idea is get others to inspire them to look within themselves, right? Don't convince them because it's not going to work. I mean, right? So may everybody awaken to their own truths in their own time and in their own way.
Jacob, it's been fun. I'm glad I got to talk to you a second time, even though I'm still very sorry that I deleted that
Yeah, no
recording.
worries.
But I think it happened for a reason.
There are no mistakes. There are no
Yeah.
mistakes. Yeah.
All right. Well, I wish you well. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right. Thanks, Rob.